that's a standard process, right? The whole goal of the JCP is to have a specification that people can implement and they're in hands of the developers, right? So it's not the goal of anyone to vote no, right? The whole objective, the whole process is that it is public enough that we can see the problems along the time, right? And say, look, man, don't do that, right? Because if you keep doing the wrong thing, we're going to vote no in the end, right? So the no in the end is, is the right that we have. That's they're going to force people to do the right thing the whole process. You may see what I mean, right? The objective is not to vote no. The objective is to vote yes, right? But of course, we're just going to vote no if the spec lead did not do the right thing during the whole process, right? So we use the fact that we can vote no to change things early enough so it doesn't get to the point that it votes no.
Yeah, so it's basically checking out to see.
Start to rain. So let me just get out of here. Get out of here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not happening in my office. I hope.
Yes. Oh, and that's a carnivore plant right here, right behind me.
Wonderful.
So let me not be close to it so it doesn't eat my hair.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Yes, so I'm just living with tomato plants and they all died recently because it's getting winter. Okay.
Right. So one interesting thing, right? So for example, we had a big discussion a few years ago, right? When when Oracle, there's all kinds of discussions of something that Oracle was doing for a version of Java and all that, and there's this push for lots of people to vote no on that, right? So we had a big discussion inside the user group, for example, and then by the time that we get to the date of the vote, right? So Oracle not only had fixed all the problems, right? And they also had, made all kinds of actually, there was not the final vote, by the way. It was a previous vote, right? It was not the final vote. So Oracle was, they did all the changes that people are asking, right, beforehand, and the few that they hadn't done yet, they committed to finish in the next few days, right? So for example, so I was there at the executive committee meeting, right, in person, right? And I was discussing those things with the Oracle people, right? And we got this agreement. It was not the final vote yet, right? We're still going to have a final vote later on. And so several people did vote no, right? And so Java and a few others, we did vote yes, because we saw that Oracle was doing the right thing, right? And so that was a big discussion inside the user group itself, right? Because lots of people disagreed with the fact that we vote yes from the user group, right? So lots of people from the user group disagreed that we vote yes, right? But actually, we were there with Oracle discussing things and seeing the change that they did and see that. So we voted yes on that. Remember, it's not the last version, right? So we still had a chance to vote no later on, right? We voted yes with a vote of confidence that Oracle not only had done most of the things that need to fix things, but it also promised to fix the other things in the next few days, which they did, right? So we voted yes as a vote of confidence. Other people voted no as a way to force Oracle to finish doing the thing. So it's different approaches that we're going to use to force the spec lead to do the right thing, right? But it's all part of the process, all part of the discussions.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so interesting. So it looks to me that being a JCP member is most beneficial when you want to work on OpenJDK and do things. But of course, you also vote for the people on the EC. But apart from that, when I'm just a JCP member, if I'm interested in the project, it's really hard to contribute anything to the process of the JCP itself. So I would have to become, a member in the JCP, so I have a seat there, and then I can actually contribute to the process.
Well, yeah, and I mean, look, remember that I understand what you said, and I think that's the right path, that's the right idea. But remember that to contribute to the JCP, there's small levels of contributions that you can do, even if you're not a member. Even on the JCP process itself, remember that the JCP evolves using the JCP process, right? So on the evolution of the JCP process, you can comment on, you can open issues, you can participate in the discussions, even if you're not a member of the JCP itself, right? So the process is open enough that anyone can participate, even if they don't sign anything.
Yeah, I got it. So
right.
when I want
so
to
that's an interesting thing, and for me, this is a big change, man. I'm kind of stressing this out because for me it's a big change, because when I started the JCP, when I started, when Java started, right? So the JCP was only available for companies, right? And it was only available for licensees of the Java technology, and then it was expanded to people that are paying to join the JCP, right? So companies, they're paying to join the JCP, and then the moment that the JCP opened up the possibility for individuals to join, actually individuals could participate if they were invited to be part of the expert group, right? But you could not participate otherwise, right? So and so the moment the JCP created for the first time the rule that allowed individuals to participate in the JCP was charging $100 for individuals to join the JCP, $100 a year, right? So I joined that. I joined the JCP. I paid $100, right, to join JCP. And many years later, Patrick Curran, that was the head of the JCP, the PMO of the JCP at the time, he said that I was the only person that ever paid to be part of the JCP, right? And that is a funny thing, but at the same time, it shows that it was not available for everyone, really, right? So the way we try to improve the JCP in the last several years was to make sure that anyone that wants to participate, right, could participate in some sense, right, in some real sense, and could participate, could contribute, even if they couldn't pay, even if their company didn't want them to do, right, even if they couldn't sign, they didn't have a, so we try to make it very, very easy for everyone to join.
Yeah. I think that's important, and I think when I started with Java was just closed and proprietary, and in the past years it has opened so much. Everything went open source, everybody can participate. I'm so super glad to hear that even you can participate on the JCP process. And now finally I understand why this is still relevant, because it's basically protecting the IPs from what we do in the OpenJDK project. So I think this helped me a lot to understand more and better about JCP.
Yeah. So since you mentioned OpenJDK, let me just kind of do one quick thing here. So OpenJDK right now has the JAP process, right?
Yes.
And so it's Java Enhancements proposal, right? So Java Enhancement proposal, JEP, right? So the OpenJDK has a JAP process, and many people, when OpenJDK proposed that, right, many people thought that the JAP was replacing the JSR, and that is not the case, right? Because the JAP process is focused on implementation, right? It's not focused on specification. Of course, there is specification as part of the implementation. There is also specifications involved, right? So OpenJDK still follows the JSR process to submit the JSR to the JCP, right? And so we still approve the specification, all that, but the discussions happen inside OpenJDK, inside the JAPs, right? But the JAPs are more they're implementation based, right? So there's a lot of things that goes on the JAP that has nothing to do with the specification, right? How you implement something, how you improve performance, how you improve security. None of those things affect necessarily the specification itself, right? Is the implementation of OpenJDK. So the JAP process are focused on the implementation of the OpenJDK project itself.
Yeah, it makes sense. So when I wanted to build a new feature to have Java, sending a rocket to the moon or something, so this is my specification, I go through the JCP most likely. But then at some point, the implementation details maybe end up in the JEP. And at some point, people will think, okay, you don't need a diesel engine to go to the Mars or something. So let's fix performance here, and so the standard or the specification itself does not change, so it's not affected. So I just open a JEP. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
those two processes, they basically go hand in hand those days, right? And so and I think that's very, very beneficial. And interesting enough, that was one of the interesting things, that when the OpenJDK decided to move into a 6-month release cadence, right? One of the big questions was, can this be done inside the JCP, right? Because if you take a look at the specifications, right? If you take a look here, let me share the screen again here. If you take a look at the process itself, right? Oh shoot. If you take a look at the process itself, oh man, I don't even know what I shared. So here, okay, share. All right. So when you take a look at the process itself, right, you're going to see that we have, 2 to 4 weeks, and then 7 days, and 30 to 90 days, and then 7 days. I mean, there's all kinds of timing here, right? That people said, can we do 6 months release cadence and still follow that's the same timeline, right? So yes, that's we have a lot of discussion with the OpenJDK guys. We work together, right, to actually get this thing done fast from on our side, so they can do fast on their side. So there's a lot of collaboration between OpenJDK and the JCP to guarantee that those specifications are available timely, right? So the release cadence can happen every 6 months.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah, so I think I got it now. Eventually, Jakarta is Jakarta with Eclipse, OpenJDK is OpenJDK, but they talk to the JCP, and JCP basically protects the OpenJDK, so all are happy and friends. So isn't that a good thing these days?
That's a good thing, and I think that's great, right? For the last few years, a lot of important companies joined the JCP, right? And I think that's the more open, the easier we got to the process to make the process. I think that better for the Java community, right? Because when you have the big guys, because remember, right, when you have the big companies like Oracle and Amazon and Twitter and Microsoft and IBM, and you have all those big players, right, and many others, right? I mean, just mention a few of them here. But when you have all those big players, they're the owners of a big amount of, Red Hat, right? IBM and Red Hat is one thing today, but, they used to be separate. But, when you have all of those companies have a huge amount of IP, a huge amount of patents, right? A huge amount of code that they created. So when all those companies are agreeing to be part of the process, what happens is that the whole Java community has access to all of those IP from all of those companies, right? And so we can really implement things that are beneficial for all of us without having to be fighting legal battles all the time.
Definitely. So it's just one question. So if I want to get involved into all these things, and I should check out if there is JSR where I can actively work on or give my comments or contribute and all these kind of things. So where would I look?
Okay, so the best place to go is the JSR by stage, right? Because then you can see which JSRs are which stage, right? So for example, let me just kind of get here. Share screen again, right? So if we go, okay, so if you go here, JSRs by stage, right? Then you're going to see here which one to review and early draft, blah blah. So we have 9 active JSRs right now, right?
Okay.
So those are JSRs. They're actually actively being working on right now, right? So so Java Compiler API, Java Data Objects, right? So those are the JSRs that probably have some kind of activity going on right now. You can see, right? Take a look who is the spec lead of a lot of them is Brian Getz, right? Because those are, you see, we have at the same time, we have Java SC 19 and Java SC 20, right? So, those are actually 18, 19, 20. They're going on parallel at the same time as JSR, because those are the different release of the Java specification cadence, right? So, so that those are really the specifications that are going on right now. So you have the visual recognition API. I mean, those 3 here, SC 18, 19, 20, those are the Java version themselves, right? Remember that the Java SC specifications are umbrella specifications. There's a lot of specifications under it, right? And then we have the visual recognition specification, portlets, right? Still, maybe it's something that you didn't believe exists, right? Java C8, right? Still going on, right? that's a maintained release. You see, there's a maintained release. So that's that's past version of Java being maintained. And then public pluggable annotation, Java data objects, and Java compiled API. So there's a few ones that you can participate.
Yeah, I guess I have to check something out here. Actually, I'm surprised that data objects is still a thing.
Yes,
but apparently it is. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so
right.
I'm going to check the active things here.
And another interesting thing, there's a lot of dormant JSRs, right? So those are JSRs that the specification lead has not released any versions, any new draft versions for a long time, right? And so we do keep an eye on those JSRs, right? Because we might take a look and reject them or stop them or something like this, right? Or we ask the spec lead to withdraw them if they're not interested in moving them anymore. But the dormant JSRs are also an interesting place to take a look, because if there is something that you look here and you think that's interesting for you, maybe we can help you get in contact with the regional spec lead and see if you could take that specification forward, right? If you want to, right? So that's another place you can take a look to see if there's something here. A lot of those specification has been superseded by something else or something like this, right? But those are dormant JSRs. They never got finished, by the way, right? So they're still they're just stopped right now. And as you can see, there has been a few JSRs rejected, right? Most JSRs they're being withdrawn. Right? So the withdraw, a lot of the withdraw JSRs are the ones that no one likes it, right? For some reason, or the executive committee says, no, this doesn't sound right. And the spec lead, instead of pushing it forward for a vote, they decide just to withdraw, right? So those are the withdraw. So you can see there's a lot of ideas that did not become a specification in the past, right? For some reason, right? So, all of these is documented. There's a lot of history behind the JCP, so you can take a look at all the things that happened in the past too.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so better look into the active JSRs if you're really feeling, like it's, then maybe look at the dormant and see if it can help.
Right.
But probably don't look into the withdrawn except you're really doing it better.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Do withdraw. Maybe you can just look for history purpose and figure out what ideas that did not work. Maybe you can come up with some interesting things. And of course, the final release, right? The 266 JSR, their final. That is the final document, right? So that's the document that you can download, you can implement yourself, right? And there's a lot of open source projects. That's an interesting thing, man, because you're talking about open source. The final release is where a lot of open source projects start to participate on JCP, right? Once the specification is done, then people can implement it, right? And so there's a lot of projects that implement those specifications, and that's another connection with the open source community.
Yeah, absolutely. So no open source developer likes to write code, which is then changed many times. So interface change all the times and so on. So we all wait for the final release, so we know what to do.
Right. No. So basically, the final release of the specification is interesting, right? Because basically, that is a stable specification, right? That you can implement, and that all the IP there is available for you. Right. So then there's a lot of innovation that you can do by looking at that.
Yeah, and we must not forget that only when there is this final status, I actually have access to that IP. Before that, it's dangerous a little bit. Yeah, so very good.
It's just not available, right? So
yeah, that's right.
It's there, right? So. But why did the so I think the most dangerous ones maybe are the dormant JSRs, right? So if you see a dormant JSR and you try to implement it, then so the spec lead is not working on it anymore, right? And you're trying to implement something that you don't have the rights for. So I think that's the only time that's dangerous. But the active specifications are good because because they're moving in direction to be a final at some point, right? So.
Yeah, very nice. So it looks like it would be very beneficial for everybody in the community to just run for such a seat and participate in the JCP community. because you learn a lot about all these upcoming JSRs and changes and specifications, maybe meet many great people as well, and can say yes or no to the features you like or not. That's all a good thing.
That's great.
Excellent. Yeah, got it. So thank you very much, Bruno. This was super interesting for me, because I tried to understand, I tried to read this, but it's so helpful when somebody who has the experience like you just explains it in easy words, and yeah, you saved me a lot of time. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks a lot, and thanks for agreeing to record this, because I didn't even think about it in the beginning, but actually I think we just generated an awesome content, right? That I'm going to publish somewhere later.
Yeah, you do that. You do that. It's just open source.
I think you asked an amazing question. I think those are questions lots of people ask, right? So that's great that we can have something like this to help illuminate. And with that, let me just kind of give a big caveat, right? I'm not a lawyer, right? So all of these is legal documents. I'm a developer that I'm following this process for a long time. I participate a lot in this process, but I'm not a lawyer. No one in the EC is a lawyer, actually, right? So we do rely on lawyers of the big companies to discuss the details, define print details. So anything I said here, right? Check with your company's lawyer before you take any decisions, right?
Yeah, so this is no law advice, right?
Right, that's not a law advice. And and maybe something that I said here, I said on top of my head, I might be wrong. So if anything I said here, you find out that it's wrong, let me know, and I'll figure out if I was wrong or not. But
isn't it just like code, right? You always double check. You always make a test, and you always ask your senior developers.
Exactly, that's it.
Yes.
But Christian, thanks a lot, man. It was great to have those conversations with you. I think
welcome.
It's awesome, and you had such insightful questions. By being an open source developer, by trying to look at all these, you had amazing questions. I think that's going to be very helpful for everyone.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, Bruno, for your time, and speak very soon.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.